A troubled Jew once came to the tzaddik of Radishitz, who was known to give tremendous blessings. The Jew had a problem. His wife was in the 9th month of pregnancy, and she was never able to carry through a pregnancy to term. So he begged the tzaddik for a bracha. The tzaddik looked at him and he says, "You will have a healthy child." And then he added something cryptic. A pasuk, a passage from this week's parsha. Uvnei Dan Chushim. The children of Dan is Chushim. The chassid went home happy at the blessing, and indeed, his wife gave birth to a healthy child. But he was always troubled. What exactly did the Rebbe mean when he added those 3 words, Uvnei Dan Chushim? And he asked many chassidim, and nobody was able to tell him. They just didn't understand. Finally, years later, he met an elderly chassid, and he again mentioned the story. And the chassid stroked his long white beard, and he said, "I think I have an answer for you. There's a problem, because if Dan only had 1 child, Chushim, the pasuk should have said, Uven Dan Chushim, and the child of Dan was Chushim. Why is it that the pasuk, the Torah says, Uvnei Dan Chushim, in the plural, the children of Dan was Chushim? And the answer is because if you look later on, if you look many generations later, you'll see that even though Dan began with only Chushim, but ultimately he begat many, many great-grandchildren and descendants until he became one of the biggest tribes. And the original large tribe, Benjamin, who had 10 children, ultimately became the smallest, so we never know. The Rebbe was telling you, I'm giving you a blessing, you should have a healthy child. But don't be despondent throughout the rest of your life that you'll only have 1 child, because you should know, Uvnei Dan Chushim, this child will grow up to have many descendants, many grandchildren. Is a tremendous uplifting for this chassid. I'd like to add another point. The Talmud tells us that Chushim was deaf. He was born deaf. So let's analyze this. Dan had only 1 child, whereas all his brothers had many, many children. And that child had a special need. He was deaf. Nevertheless, we see the ultimate, at the end, it all worked out well. This is the lesson that the tzaddik was telling this Yid. Don't look at the here and now. We are all single dimensional. We can only see the here and now. God has other plans. God has the future. God knows what's going to be at the end. At the end, you'll flourish. You'll have a lot of nachas, not just from 1 child, from many children. This is especially apropos to the time we find ourselves in now, the period of the 3 weeks, where we mourn the destruction of the temple and the beginning of exile. We don't always understand God's ways, but we have to believe that ultimately it will all turn out for good. On a final note, the word Chushim, the way it's spelled in the Torah, really, if you turn the words around, it's Mashiach. Because ultimately that's what Mashiach is. He reveals the goodness in our lives, in our world. And this is what we are hoping for and praying for. Uva L'Tzion Goel. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom u'Mivarach.